Hello, Insomniacs, and welcome to another episode of Hello Insomnia. I will be one of your hosts today, and with me is Aaron. Welcome back.
Hey,
We got Spooky Jerry.
No, it's just the ghost of Jerry.
The ghost of Jerry? Then is it Spooky Christy?
Yeah. Boo.
Today, for our Halloween special, we are going to dive into some creepy pastas and spooky stories. So let's just jump right into it, guys. What do you think?
Let's get them.
I think we wait another 10 minutes.
All right, we'll make the listeners wait as well.
We'll just play some nice, cryptic, scary music for them.
Yeah, and let the cars go by. All right, so our first story today is called Behind Closed Doors. This was posted by a user named LilyPie. On Super Short Scary Stories Reddit thread. All right, here we go. The neighbor was a weird man. He was reclusive, never really spoke to anyone. Tom liked to scare me by saying he must be a murderer, that he always kept to himself so people wouldn't catch on. I didn't like the jokes and would tell him off. The neighbor was probably just shy. Although I got mad at his jokes, I had to admit the neighbor made me uncomfortable. Tom worked a mix of day and night shifts. Tonight was one of the night shifts. I don't like the idea of being home alone at night. Everything seems more sinister. But I shake these feelings by and watch some TV and go to bed. A loud noise jolted me awake. Maybe Tom had come home. I looked at my clock and saw it was 2:30 in the morning. Panic rose. My mind was racing. I didn't know what to think. There were only two facts that kept repeating in my mind. Tom didn't finish work till 6, and that noise came from inside the house. I glanced out the second-story bedroom window to the driveway below. In case he had came back early, his car wasn't there. But what I saw made my blood run cold. It was my neighbor breaking into my house. I grabbed my phone and called the police. I waited in my room, too scared to go downstairs, and I prayed the police would come in time. They did. They caught him. I was still in my bedroom, watching from my window as they took him to the car. He was struggling and screaming. He really was a madman. You don't understand, he yelled. I saw someone else go into the house. As my brain processed this meaning, I heard the bedroom door shut behind me. That was a car.
I was to say that was a timing of something.
And then he drove off.
And
the police just were like, nope, not today.
So the cops didn't sweep the house before they arrested the man?
No,
got
he
it.
didn't.
I don't think he managed to fully break in, right? I don't know.
I think he had, by the time she would have called the police and then they had gotten there, he had to have been in the house. So why wouldn't he have said something?
Correct.
What?
And then
He could have just said, there's someone in your house, get the fuck out.
What situation is the police just walk into the scene, take the person, and then just leave?
Said, all right, we got him. Open his shut case.
Yeah.
Let's get out of here.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
Spooky stuff, Steven.
Man.
And it closed behind her.
Behind
So it's not like she was in the room with the thing that closed the door, right?
So now it's just in the room.
Yeah,
That
just
dude should have
what?
whispered in her ears, like, "Man, that dude was crazy, right?"
Yeah, am I right?
Like,
Hold
what the
this
hell are you-
knife. Stabs.
Yeah, I don't know if that's scary.
Woo.
I'm gonna rate that one a 2.
Wow.
Did they say they lived alone?
No, they
No,
lived
it's
with a man
Tom.
named Tom.
We don't know that person's name. I
It's-
assumed her, but it could be a he. Don't know.
Could be just the roommate.
My bad for assuming gender.
I would assume that Tom was either a roommate or significant other.
Tom
Well,
is
it's a
everybody's
story.
friend.
Yeah, exactly. This is a
Okay, so-
Facebook, early MySpace story. That's
This
what
is 8 years
is.
ago.
No, this is what is
But
that?
who
Live
was
Journal
But
supposed?
who was found?
or Zynga? Let's go real far back.
That's terrible.
But you know what I'm talking about.
Those are the real horror stories.
Trying to navigate Zynga.
Sheesh.
Jesus. While playing your Neopets.
That's right. On Gaia Online as well. Let's go, fam.
This is
All
this,
right,
that
let's,
urban legend story of the
This
guy
is
in
a
the back of the
story
car.
straight off of Gaia Online.
You know what else is creepy? Downloading shady files from LimeWire.
Downloading
Wow.
viruses off of LimeWire.
all right.
All right.
I got
think-
one.
Oh, we're going. Oh, okay.
Oh, are we not going in chronological?
Creepy Jeeper Jeeper Jerry.
Oh, I have a story.
Okay.
I have a story.
Oh.
This is it's based in China. They didn't give me a real name for these characters, so I just made them up. So, story begins in a town in China where Dan and Mindy lived.
Typical Chinese names.
Very, very typical. It's very common. So, Dan and Mindy, they met in the small town at a very young age. It's Mindy came from a very like wealthy family. She was very well off, and Dan, he's just some poor guy, but Mindy really, fell in love with this guy. So years later, they were like so young, probably I want to say like 6 or 7 at this time. Years later, Dan and Minnie they got more serious dating, and Minnie decided she wanted to go off to college. She got accepted into like very like prestigious, expensive college. Dan could not afford this college to go, or couldn't go to any college at all because he was still poor. So Mindy actually begged and convinced her family to fund Dan so they could go off to college together. After a while, her family agreed and was like, "Yeah, you know what? Go to college together. You guys are like super great with each other. Like they want they wanted her to be happy." So years later, after they they're in college, Mindy just felt like Dan was being more and more distant every day, like not giving her enough attention, or not being there when she needs him. So one day she got curious and like wonder what's going on. So she kind of follows Dan like around like the campus without him noticing. So Dan was flirting and talking with another girl, and she saw that. She got really upset, and Dan, in the corner of Dan's eye, he saw her, and as she runs off, he tries to go like run after her, but she was so far. He saw that she ran into a building, and then she went up all the way to the rooftop and jumped off. There was later on there was a crowd of people there. Dan got there really late, so like he saw this a Taoist priest standing there in the crowd. He noticed that, and he was like freaked out, like asking him like what's going on, what's gonna happen. The Taoist priest kept looking down and was like, this is not good, this is not good at all. And he was like, why, what's going on? She was like, because this is a clearly a suicide. And Dan was like, this is my girlfriend. And they had a talk, and Dan explained like why she got upset, and it just made the Taoist priest even more like, it made the hairs of his neck stand up. When he was explaining, he was like, this is not good. He was like, Dan, you really need to watch yourself in the next 7 days, because the circumstances that she died, she's gonna come back as a vengeful spirit. And then like Dan was freaking out, and then he was like, can you help me? What can you do? He was like, All right, don't worry. It happens. Like, it's something that's very common in China. It happens. He's like, here's some talismans. I want you on the 7th night to place these around your room. The 7th night at midnight, place the talisman around your room. Place some of your clothes onto the bed and hide underneath the bed. So if the spirit comes in, it'll fool the spirit, and if they can't find you, they'll leave. And he was like, whatever you do not open your eyes and try to look at the spirit or anything, because they will find you. And he was a little shooken up, but he's like, okay, I got it. On the 7th night, Dan, it was in his room. He placed the talismans all over the room and placed some clothes and hid under the bed like the Taoist priest said. And right when midnight strikes, he's underneath the bed. He hears loud thumping on the door, like scratching and thumping. And then he hears the door breaks in, loud screeching and yelling, like a woman. She's like saying, where is he? Where is he? Just thumping around, but didn't sound like footsteps at all. So he was like, what the heck is going on? The spirit just kept going around and around the room. It's like, where is he? I can't find him. And all of a sudden, the noise was just gone. And like minutes passed where he didn't hear anything. Dan got curious, so he just opened his eyes and see what's going on, see if he could see, like, maybe some feet. But then, to his surprise, there was a face just staring at him with big red eyes, and she just says, I got you. The next day, the police find Dan's body. He's dead. The priest got the news of this, so he's like, what the heck happened? Like, I gave him all the talismans, I gave him all the instructions to follow, but what happened? Like, shouldn't have happened. So he got curious, went to police station and asked the police of the case of what was going on. The police was like very curious of like, why is this priest asking for about this case, because they usually don't. So when they got to talking, they talked about how Mindy died, and they mentioned that when she jumped off the building, she landed on her head. So in Chinese lore, whatever hits the ground first when you die is the way your spirit walks on for the rest of their days. That's about it.
Sorry, I fell asleep 2 minutes into that whole
I'm just trying to imagine
thing.
how you walk on your head.
It's a thump, thump, thump.
You're bunny hopping everywhere.
Yeah.
Which feels horrible to say because it's about a dead person.
I know, it's a dead person.
Also, can we talk about how many times Dan being poor came up in this story?
He is very poor.
I just kept thinking, poor as he is.
Did I mention super poor?
Poor Dan. She was just looking for aspirin.
I would absolutely have a headache after trying to like walk everywhere on my fucking head and just bunny hopping.
But it's a spirit, so I don't know.
It's very.
So why would the spirit need to hop? Couldn't it float? Couldn't theoretically just like drag its head?
Actually, there's these. I know these vampires in Chinese culture. They hop. They don't walk.
Bunnicula. Literally a bunny vampire.
Jeez.
And he was dead the whole time.
Apparently, he was the one that committed suicide. Just like you, after you hear that story.
All right, I guess I got the next story. Let's see if I can make it shorter than that documentary.
All right.
You have two short stories.
Yeah, they're both combined shorter than the art of war over there.
You didn't like the length? Huh?
No, good lord. I don't know if it was scary because of how long it went, or
what's scary is I have another one.
No, we're not.
Snaps.
We can save that for a two-parter episode.
Next
all right. This one's called My New Doggy, posted by BU/Ratfink333.
Love the name.
Yeah, okay. That's that. All right. I went to the animal shelter a couple of weeks ago and adopted a beautiful young golden retriever. He's the smartest dog I ever met. Within days, he knew sit, stay, and roll over. I even taught him the old trick where you make a gun with your hand and say bang, and he rolls onto his back and plays dead. The problem is, Dogs are much better with hand signals than voice cues. So now, as soon as I make a finger gun, he rolls over onto his back and eagerly looks up at me for a treat. I'm sitting on the couch watching a movie in the dark, and my puppy is on the hardwood floor in front of me, chewing his new toy. He looks up towards me, pauses, then rolls onto his back, his tongue out, begging for a treat. I realize he's looking over my head, beyond the couch. The floor behind me creaks. Bang!
Rest in peace.
Bus. I guess the guy that broke
Bang.
into the first story's house was in this guy's house and shot him. Same
There was
dude.
no
The
door to hide
same
behind this
guy.
time.
Yep. Well, that's just a bad owner.
What?
That's a bad owner right there.
I mean, I hope that person gave the dog a treat after it murdered its owner. That's all I've got to say. Because that dog earned that treat.
I mean, he did. The real horror story is that man was John Wick, and then he woke up to kill everybody else that hurt his dog.
Boom.
All right. Second short story that can also fit within Jerry's story. Posted again by
Could read it 10 times and it fits into Jerry's story.
That's by user.
Is that what that means?
Yeah, that means by user.
That's the dumbest thing ever, sir. Why
Why
would the internet do that?
Because it's the internet.
Okay, so posted by Son of a Bee.
Love these names.
It's
All
called
right.
A Quiet Cabin Deep in the Woods. All right. My wife was shaking me quietly. I looked around the cabin. The girls must have gone to bed. The fire had burned down to the embers. My glass of scotch was still in my hand. Wait, what? Okay.
You don't sleep with a glass of scotch in your hand?
No, I don't sleep. Who sleeps with?
I thought that's normal.
Okay, so he's an alcoholic. Got it. Okay, my glass of
He
scotch
wasn't
was still in
asleep.
my hand.
What?
Why is she shaking him?
For his attention? Do you not just nudge somebody to get their
You
attention?
shake the ice in there to swirl it around.
Not once it's like he was asleep.
I mean, hey, I got your attention just like that. Hey,
Yeah, and then you shake him a little, you put your hand on their shoulder and nudge him.
I got it. Alcoholic and abusive
Oh,
relationship.
I'm not
Got
saying
it. All right,
beat the
glass of
shit out of him,
scotch.
Aaron. I'm saying shake him gently.
Glass of scotch in my hand. Something's happening on the porch. Then I heard it too. I grabbed my axe and lit the lantern. I opened the door expecting a raccoon or a skunk, but found a boy about 10 years old.
Never trust the children.
He stared at me, petrified for a moment, then bolted down the path through the woods. I gave chase. Mistake. He was losing me, but I heard him tumble on the ground. I leapt on top of him in a rage. What? Okay, I'm afraid for the boy now.
We were talking about behind closed doors earlier.
Yeah, I'm afraid for the boy. I leapt on top of him in a rage. Why are you looking on my porch? I screamed.
Knocking.
Knocking. Why are you knocking on my porch? I screamed. My uncles told me to, he stammered. I was no longer angry, but confused. But why? I asked. To get you out of the cabin.
Is that where it ends?
Why?
But why?
Why? Me and the family were chilling. I had a scotch.
And an axe within hands distance, apparently.
I don't understand this one.
Because there was girls in the cabin.
Okay, this is my
Maybe
family.
the wife is dead.
Wait, that's really how it
He
ended?
said his uncles told him to
I think the uncles are gonna
chase
jump
him out of
you.
the house. To get him out
The
of the house.
uncles are going in
so
the
they can
house.
Go into the cabin. Yes.
I don't understand this.
All right, I don't either.
Yep.
That's it.
To
Yeah,
get
that
us
was
out
it,
of the
bro.
cabin.
That was
Wait,
it.
Now
Is it really
it's the
ended
time where
like
we try
that?
to figure out what our ending is.
You assume that they're going in the cabin.
I assume that he's getting him out of the cabin so the uncles can jump his ass.
No, you take him out of the cabin so that everybody in the cabin's vulnerable.
Why? He's in the front door.
Well, I thought take him out of the cabin because he was in danger in the cabin.
But his wife is still there. I think the wife is a ghost.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
But my wife is there.
But
Okay.
maybe she was a killer.
Maybe
or
she's
a
the
ghost.
Target.
Maybe she
Or-
was dumping
Or
on
the
her
girls,
head.
apparently.
All right, this son of a bee wrote a bad creepy pasta is what happened.
Mindy
That's-
remarried, and that's she's like, yeah, she walks that way.
Terrible.
Are we ready for the next one?
Don't worry about it, guys.
If you don't remember who Mindy is, rewind like 3 hours and maybe you can figure it out.
3 hours, 23 minutes.
She's the head thumper.
It's like, oh yeah, that was a character in the first chapter. That's right.
Yep.
Hours ago.
Let me recite the whole end game script
Jeez.
to you.
All right. Yep. And well, there's my dude. Dog got his master killed, and
got a treat.
Dude got kicked out of his squatter got kicked out of his house because because the uncles who owned it didn't want him in there.
And now he's alone in the forest with a little boy. So like that's
with an axe.
Yep.
On top of a boy with an axe. And so also, if your theory is correct, Stephen, my uncles wanted, you to get out the house so they can go do whatever to the family. The uncles can go in. I still got your nephew with an axe. Like, so you don't care about your nephew, clearly, right?
Why chase him down into the forest and like jump him? Like, why jump on top of a small 10-year-old boy?
Clearly, you just chuck the axe at him.
I feel like he's the murderer. Dude's got an axe in like hands distance. Ooh. I feel like the uncles just sacrifice their nephew to this dude so they can save the wife and the kids.
I don't think the boy's supposed to get caught.
He's an alcoholic. And he was probably killing everybody in the house and a domestic violent
that night was the night he was about to murder his family, and those uncles just saved that family.
There you go.
And they just had to sacrifice one nephew to do it. So on to the Halloween party.
Wonderful. These stories had like no real endings.
You make your own endings, Jerry.
Yeah,
that's the ending.
Your own adventure books here.
Jerry, your story ended where that's it.
What? I forgot how it really ended, but yeah.
The only thing I remember from Jerry's story is that Dan is poor.
Yeah,
he's real poor.
Poor Dan. The real horror. He can't afford the medical. That's the real horror.
Oh no. Well, there you go. So our next story tonight, posted by user Phantom Necromancer, is called The Halloween Party. I was never a social individual. Been that way since I was a kid. I was bullied often at school, and that caused me to be a complete introvert. Nowadays, I never really go outside except for groceries. But that didn't stop some of my friends from asking me to go to some costume party with them on Halloween. They wanted to help with my social anxiety. At first, I wasn't willing, but eventually I caved. What's the worst that could happen? She said. They said, won't assume gender. As the days drew closer, I just decided to go to the nearest Spirit Halloween and buy some spooky jack-o'-lantern mask and a generic Dracula costume. I thought it'd be a fun combo. Halloween night fell, and just like that, we went to the party. Having a mask helped suppress much of the anxiety I would have had otherwise. The night went on. We just hung out in our own little corner, occasionally talking to anyone who approached. Some people made jokes about my costume. I laughed along, though I honestly did think it looked cool. Flamboyant, but cool. Just how I liked my monsters. Most people were either dressed as zombies, vampires, cowboys, and whatever people seem to dress up as now. In fact, I think I may have seen some people in those sexy costumes. Just sexy costumes. Never been my thing. Everything just seemed kind of bland, for a lack of a better word. Except for one man. Ooh, there's always one. I'd occasionally see him in the corner of my eye, or just somewhere farther away from most guests. Much like me, he seemed to have grabbed a bunch of different costumes and Frankensteined them together. He wore a dirty, ripped straitjacket, with an even more ripped and torn black hooded cloak over that. He had long, black, stringy hair that went down to his shoulders and his face. His face was the most impressive part of all. He had this sickly, pale, gray skin, bloodshotted, whited-out eyes. He had no nose or lips and had deep cuts all over his face, somewhere close to his mouth, giving him an unnaturally long, permanent smile. It did its job in settling me, that's for sure. The man didn't seem to interact with anyone for most of the party, until I guess he found the person he was looking for. A man dressed as a 90s jock was talking to, I assumed, were some friends, but was interrupted when the cloaked figure walked over to him, tapped his shoulder, and when the 90s jock turned around, he tilted his head, and out of nowhere, he stabbed him in the stomach repeatedly. The jock screamed as he tried to fight the gruesome man off, but failed. People tried to get him off, but he just started stabbing anyone who dared interrupt him. The party was filled with screams. Everyone was running around frantically. Many called the police. Luckily, my friends and I got out of there unharmed. Eventually, police got a hold of him, and he was quickly arrested. They couldn't seem to ID him, though news sources were quick to name him the Halloween Butcher. When questioned, he would only say that the man bullied him when they were in high school, and that somehow justified what he did. No one has heard about what happened to him since. We don't even know if he was actually locked up or not. Some say he managed to escape. Others said he was simply shot. Well, wherever he is, I just hope he rots. Jesus, I still can't get that face out of my head. I still see it in the corners of my vision every so often. At night, I'll even see him in the dark corners of my house, always staring at me, his eyes never blinking. Bum, bum, bum. It was Dan.
Case closed.
It was Dan
It was
all
Dan.
along. Dude was in a straitjacket. So my first question there is, if you're in a straitjacket, aren't your arms bound? Like, how are you going to stab a dude?
That's if it's buckled, though.
I guess so.
You can technically wear a straight jacket and not have it buckled.
Damn.
Do it all the time.
And just out of nowhere, let's just stab some people.
Shank, shank, shank.
You better not snitch on me while I stare at you while you sleep.
Right?
Is this doing it for you?
Also, where did he
Stab
keep the
guy.
knife? In the straitjacket.
In the sleeves.
They were just all knives.
So we had a story about Elliot Rogers, a story about I don't know,
A
just
good doggy.
a good
A
dog.
good boy.
A confusing
It did nothing
story
wrong.
about, I guess, a squatter in a cabin that's an alcoholic.
And an underage child.
I don't
wanting to
even
be
get that
chased in
one.
the woods.
And then
Dude
War
just
and
needed to get
Peace.
out and get some air.
by Jerry.
The Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Jeez. Extended edition. Yeah.
It's the art of war.
Got it.
And then the
Uncut.
Halloween Butcher.
Everybody is rightfully scared now. Rightfully.
Rightfully. We're something.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. We got any more, or
We did better. We did better last. we didn't bring the fire. These stories.
You think the fire wasn't brought this year?
Yeah,
I mean,
I gotta read.
are you gonna try to save it?
We're gonna have to do
All
a
right.
redemption
I
episode.
did.
'cause
Alright.
You can do it. All right. You
All
guys,
right.
you guys ready? Here we go. All right. This one is posted by user Vanetta. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's called "If the Log Rolls Over, We're All Gonna Die."
I know what's gonna happen.
The log rolls over.
Yep. Do you? All right. A couple got stranded in a storm out in the middle of nowhere. There was nothing but pasture and woods all around them, and a single house. They run to the house and bang on the door. It opens at the pounding of a man's fist on the wood. He walks inside curiously, while the wife follows close behind. They called out, "Is anybody home? If the log rolls over, we're all gonna die." The voice is faint, and they almost don't even hear it over the storm. They take a few more steps into the entryway and call out again, "Hello? Is anybody there? If the log rolls over, we're all gonna die." They look at each other confused and wondering. Now, if the homeowners are in trouble themselves, they had to head further and stop at the foot of the stairs and call out, "Is everything okay? If the log rolls over, we're all gonna die." They realize the sound is coming from upstairs. Swallowing their fear, they walk upstairs. "If the log rolls over, we're all gonna die." The voice is clearer now. They follow it down the hall. "If the log rolls over, we're all gonna die." They turn the corner and they find themselves in the bathroom. In the toilet is a single piece of shit with a couple of ants sitting on the middle of it. One of them turns to the other one and says in a tiny voice, "If the log rolls over, we're all gonna die."
Happy Halloween, guys.
There you go.
Happy Halloween, everybody.
Crap story about
What just
About crap.
happened?
That was
That's
a
what it was.
shitty story.
Yes, exactly.
So can we rank those from worst
Yes,
to
it was.
absolute worst?
Sheesh.
Was
We
that
ended on
good? End on a
something.
high
I think
note.
we need
Yeah.
another story then.
End on a high note.
Oh my god. All right.
End on a high
We
note.
ended
Close
on
it out, sir.
Shite.
Close it out. You end on a doo-doo story. That's what you end on. I got one more. It's a real dumper.
Doesn't
Hey,
life
listener, if you stuck long
end
enough
on a
for
doo-doo
this,
story?
I'm not gonna listen to this episode. 'Cause
Good lord.
We're actually posting this.
Jeez. Oh no, yeah, it's going out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's going up. It's going up. This is
what you
it.
get.
Happy
Can
Halloween,
we title this one,
everybody.
Alright.
please forgive us.
we gotta do a redemption episode. of
Let's
this.
do a Day of the Dead one, please.
If you guys want,
They're like, no,
Leave
please,
it-
we're
leave-
good. Thank you.
leave-
Thank you for
leave a
this.
comment.
It's like we're good. Just don't
No,
post anymore.
No,
Yeah. Just thanks. That's enough, guys. Thanks.
We just lost like 10
Not
subscribers.
even thanks. Just stop.
It's like,
We
the
only have
10.
5. We only have 5.
We're in the negatives now. They want their time back.
Oh man, that's
There it is. There's a notification.
Subscribe.
Whoops. Yeah, I totally didn't just unsubscribe from our own podcast. Don't worry about it.
Oh my gosh. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that, whatever that was. And yeah, stay tuned next week when we'll have maybe some real stories.
Our redemption
Real-
episode will be coming
real
out real soon.
Scary stories.
Nah, there's no redemption. That was perfect.
Well, happy Halloween, guys.
Happy
Enjoy
Halloween,
our
guys.
lives.
Be safe.
Happy Halloween.
Eat a
Expect
shit
your
ton of
candy. Make sure there's no swords or bombs in your Snickers.
Who the hell's having swords
never-
inside of a
Little tiny
Snickers?
little
Good
one.
Jerry?
neighborhood, huh?
The full size swords.
All right.
I always just thought the swords came with the Snickers.
I am pressing stop.